How many parties do you have to go to this holiday season where you're bringing food along with you? I have at least a couple. And the other thing I like to bring with me whenever I'm bringing food is I love to make sure I have some recipe cards with me. One, to make sure that I can grab those lovely recipes from other people, but two, to make sure that I am ready to share my recipe with other people as well. So these are kind of fun, handy little things to have, or like if you're hosting and you make something, these are fun to do as like a host, like a thank you for coming gift. Here's the recipes for the things we made. So always handy to have little recipe cards. And today we are going to design our own print and cut double-sided recipe cards. Are you ready for this? If you're new here, welcome. I'm Christy from Crafty Christy's Creations, and I'm here to help you master your silhouette. And today, that means we're gonna work on some print and cut. So I just want to show you what this one looks like so you get a good idea of what we're going to be doing here. So this is a standard 4x6 recipe card. I don't know, my mom gave me a pack of these many years ago. I'm still working through them, but I thought it'd be fun to make some. All the ones I have are Christmas themed. So I thought it'd be fun to make some of our own, especially because these are only one-sided. And I tend to do all of like the directions on one side, and then on the back side is where I usually put the ingredients. So I think having pretty on both sides would be even better. And you see how this one, you've got this area here that still shows the background, but it's a little more muted so that you can actually write on there and see what you're doing. We're gonna do that too. Okay, let's jump into Silhouette Studio and get started. Okay, here we go. I am on a blank page here, and it's already at that 8.5 and 11 size because that is the size of that my printer can take. And you can see I already have my cut border on, and I already have on my print border. Those are especially important when you're doing print and cuts to make sure everything's gonna fit within the boundaries of what is needed. Please ignore the fact that I have like a million tabs open up here, but you didn't know you could do that. I actually found out that when you run out of space over here, because you have like 1,000 tabs open, that you'll just get a little sideways arrow up here at the top, so you can scroll all the way to the side and all the way to the other side so that you can look at all of your tabs. I have all those open because I am working on doing print and cut pages for my 2025 planner. So that's why I have all these open until I get that finished. But let's get back to what we're working on here. And we're gonna start by grabbing our rectangle tool, and we're just gonna draw out our rectangle that is going to be our recipe card. So we're gonna do 6 inches wide, and we're gonna tab over, and we're gonna do 4 inches tall. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second, make sure that was right. And okay, this one here, you saw how it's got all that pretty design on there. You can certainly do that too. The way that you can do that is either you are already have some pre-filled fill patterns that you can use. You can use digital patterns, digital papers. You would just crop those in, and I will link a video kind of up here and down here about a couple of different ways to use those digital patterns and papers, but this is a good example that you can do. We are going to fill this in with just a pre-populated pattern, but feel free to use those digital papers that you have because that's what they're for. Okay, so to do that, we are going to come over to our fill panel, which looks like this little painter's deal. We're going to select our rectangle and then come over to this fill pattern. Here's all of those pre-loaded patterns that it comes with. And then I think you need It's either designers, but it might even be business edition to be able to populate in your own patterns. You see, I've got some here that are my own. I think you do need business edition for that, but don't hold me to that. We'd have to look that up. But here's all the ones that they pre-populate for you. And I'm gonna grab this one. And as long as I have that rectangle selected, it's gonna go ahead and fill in that pattern right into my shape. And then down here, you have the option to change the directions of that pattern. And you can, like if your pattern was different, you could pan over and move that pattern around. And then you have this option here to scale it. That's going to change the size. You can make it larger so you don't get a lot, or you can make it really small so that you get lots and lots. And I think I like there to be at least a decent amount. I like that. That's, we'll do a round number, 40%. And I like how it gives that nice little border on there around it. And I don't know. I think that looks really pretty. Okay. Step 1 is done. We made it pretty. Now we're going to make that whited out area that you have on here. And what we're going to do is just grab our rectangle again, and this rectangle we are going to make a 1/4 inch smaller. So we're going to do 5.75 tab and then 3.75 inches. Hit enter. And I am going to fill that in with white, and I don't want it to have an outline color. We'll grab both of those and center it. Okay, so right now you cannot see through this white rectangle at all. So we're gonna select that rectangle, and then still here in this fill pattern, but even if you just go to your fill panel, you'll notice each tab, you still have this transparency piece here. So we're gonna slide the transparency, and it's gonna make it so that you can see through that white, and what it's gonna do is just kind of mute that background. So as you write on top of it, you can still see that pretty color through it, but you'll be able to write on top of it seeing what you're doing. And that's 20%. I think I like the way that looks. This pattern has a lot of white space in it and not a lot going on the edges. You know what? I'm going to pick a different pattern that has less white. Maybe let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, that still has a lot of white in it too. Okay, that doesn't have any white. Now, see how that mutes it, but you can still kind of see what's going on. We'll center those together. And then we have the makings of what's going to be our recipe card. Now we're going to add I like to have lines to write on because I cannot write on a straight line to save my life. So we're going to come in with our line tool, and I'm going to go to the edge of that white box, hold down the shift key to make sure it's nice and straight, and I'm going to click and drag all the way across to the other edge of my white box. Now you might decide to make it a little bit smaller than all the way to the edge. That is just personal preference. You do with that as you would like. And I'm going to make sure that that is at a correct height that I want. Thinking about how tall I'm going to write. And if you really want to make sure that things are going to be written and like in a nice place, you can go ahead and turn on your grid. I'm going to take off my snap to grid. But when I do that, and then I can just zoom in here. Oop, there we go. I'm going to take this to that 1 inch by 1 inch. Whoops. Yeah, everything was still selected. And then I've got my grid set up. You can say see my spacing here is 1 inch and 4 divisions. So that means each of these lines is a fourth. So we know that this is already an eighth of an inch, because we did a fourth smaller, so it gives you an eighth of an inch border all the way around. So then I can bring up this line to my fourth of an inch, which is about there. And if you're awesome enough to like see that with your ruler on the edges, and you can do it that way too. Sometimes I think it's easier to do it with those grid lines there. And I'm gonna bring this out to the side a little bit just while we're working with this. It is hard to grab lines when there's backgrounds on them. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a couple copies. So I'm gonna hold down the Alt or Option key on a Mac, and I'm gonna click on that line and drag another one down to that 1/2 inch. I'm gonna throw one here somewhere in the middle. And I'm just kind of eyeballing right now. Nothing has to be perfect, but I'm just making sure I have one kind of every 1/4 inch all the way down. And I'm just holding that Alt key down while I'm clicking and grabbing more of these lines. And we will get these all shored up here after we get them all drawn out. And you could certainly like make a few and then make a copy, send some more down further. I just, you get in the groove and it's not that complicated to just keep going. So I'm just kind of roughly estimating, and then this, I think that'll be my last one there. The reason we left those hanging off the edge, because now I can come in here and I can easily, I'm going to turn that grid off. Now I can easily come over here and grab all of these lines. I'm going to make sure that they're all lined up, and then I'm going to space them vertically. And then you can look at them and say, is that enough room for me to write on? Or do I need less? And looking at it that way, I'm like, you know what, that's not very much space to write. So I'm going to come in and now I'm going to delete every other one because that was too much. You certainly could decide to like go through and make sure like make yourself a little box and make it however tall, like a normal ruled paper or wide ruled, make this that thickness, and then like make sure your lines line up to match. So it would be like that, and then put your line at every one of those, and then scoot this down, draw your next line. Lots of ways that you can do that. This is just the way that I'm going to do it this time. And then I want to change the color of my line. And because it's a line, it's going to be this outline color. And I'm going to make it a gray. Maybe a little darker gray, because this is going to be kind of difficult to see. And then you do want to give it a point value so that it'll print. If it has 0 point value, it will not print. I think the 0.5 should be fine. I like the way that looks. I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to group them together. And I'm going to hold down that Alt or Option, and I'm going to pull out a copy over here. And I'll show you why we're doing that here in just a minute. But now I'm going to come back in with this one. Control and Z. I'm going to grab this, slide her on over. And then to make sure that it's all the way to the edge, I'm going to grab that white layer, hold down Shift, grab those lines and the white, and then I'm going to center those together. And then I'm going to grab that outline and I'm going to center, and now I can group everything together. Okay. There is the, I guess, front of our recipe card. You can certainly come in here and get fancy and start writing on those lines. You know, if you want to do like from the kitchen of, or here's your oven time. We're just going to keep this really simple and just have the lines on there. And now what I'm going to do is actually, well, we can leave it grouped, and then I'm just going to control left arrow key. I'm going to make a copy of that over here. So actually I don't need those lines. And I'm going to ungroup this one, and we're going to make this our back piece. So all I'm going to do for this, I like to have smaller kind of columns when I do all my ingredients. So what I'm, whoops, Control and Z. Let's grab those lines, just the lines. Maybe, let's see. Nope. Did we group that too? Nope. Okay. Let's zoom in on here so we can actually grab the right piece. And we want just those lines, and they are difficult to grab. There we go. And I'm just gonna shrink those a bit. And then Control and right arrow key to make a copy over there. I'm gonna take this copy, select the white piece, and I'm going to align those to the left. This one's already aligned on the right side. So now I'm going to grab these lines, but I want to kind of center them together a bit. And I'm just going to move that in 25 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just, for me, this has been the easiest way to sort this out. I'm sure there's better ways to do this, but this is what works for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Still don't like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That should be a little closer together. Grab this one. This is the fun of designing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a little better. Okay, so I think we did a total of 45 arrow keys from the corners. So I have this gap in the middle, and then I've got a little bit of gap on the edges there. And then that looks good. Everything else is centered, so I'm going to grab... Actually, before I do that, I'm going to make sure this white one has... We're going to give it no outline. None. And then this one, we want to make sure actually we're going to give it a red outline. And then we're going to grab all of that and group it together. This one I'm going to ungroup. And I'm just going to do that same thing. Make sure this white piece has none. And this piece indeed has a red outline. And then I'm going to grab all of this rubber band select, and I'm going to group it together. So this is the back, this is the front, or however you would like to do that. And now what we need to do is get these things lined up. So we're going to turn on our registration marks. And I like to take that, actually we can leave it just like it is. Actually, we're going to take that inset all the way down. And then I can make another copy, control and arrow down. And looks like we're only going to get 2 on a page. So I already lined this one at the 1 inch by 1 inch. And then I'm going to line this one at that 6 inch by 1 inch mark. And if you want to make sure it's completely perfect, you can come up here to your X is 1 and your Y is 6. And then I'm going to grab this group here and I'm going to say X is 1, Y is 1. And then that makes sure they're absolutely perfectly where they need to go. And then we're going to grab this one here, Control copy, Control plus C to copy. We're going to open a new tab and Control plus V to paste it. And this one, we're going to do the same thing. X is 1, Y is 1. That's going to put it right on the same place. We're going to make a copy, Control down arrow. And for that one, we're going to do X is 1 and Y is 6. And because you can see I've got it set in this, on the box here in this center top left corner, you just want to make sure that both tabs are picking your X and Y from the same position. So now they're going to be placed on the exact same place on your sheet of paper. So now you're ready to go ahead and print. You only need registration marks on one side because you're only going to be cutting one side of it. So this is going to be my front. So that's why I have my registration marks here. So now I can go ahead and go to the print. Here is my print preview. You notice I had turned on that print border. You want to make sure in your print preview that all of your registration marks are within that print border and everything looks good here. So I can go ahead and print this. So I am printing on 80-pound cardstock. Typically your recipe cards are a bit thicker, so this is 80-pound cardstock. And I'll link to what I'm using below. But also, I just got a new printer. They're on sale right now for Black Friday. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested. $40. Woo! You cannot beat a price like that. So this printer is a little bit different. I'm just going to do one sheet of this to just show you what this looks like. But this printer is a little bit different because it prints on the underside, which my other ones did not do that. But I like this as an upgrade for me. This is a Canon Pixma MG3620. And unfortunately, it only comes in black, which I would prefer white, but that's okay. It works, it prints, makes me happy. But it's going to print on the underside and then it'll come up. So it makes it a little bit interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit print. I'm just going to print the one copy. Oh, sorry, there's my sugar cat. She thinks it's dinner time, but what she doesn't know is she still has a couple of hours to wait. Okay, so it's going to print. I know you're kind of far away and I apologize. Let's see if I can get you closer. Well, it's going to do its thing here. All right, I'll bring you back when it's done printing and I'll show you how we do this. Okay, it's done printing. So you can see it, so it goes in, this is where it gets confusing. When it prints out, this here is my, when you put it in, now to put it in, because it takes it in, and I don't know that you can see this little piece here. It prints, it takes it in and then like flips it and prints the underside. So now when I take my sheet, this came out on top here. So now I'm going to flip it over, but I also need, again, this came out on this side, so I have to flip it and twist it, because now it's going to print. Boy, okay, it came out here. This is the fun part of complicated printers. So now I want it to print. It's going to print on the underneath, so I just need to flip it this way because it's going to come through the printer and print this way, and it should be correct. So fingers crossed. Let's hope I did that right, okay? So now let me show you what we're doing next. Okay, so this was, you can see here I'm on untitled page number 6. Let's put you back over here. And now we're going to go to page 7. And this is the back where we're going to do all of our ingredient writing. And you see, we don't need to print any registration marks, but I am still going to go to that print preview. Everything looks good there. I'm going to hit print. I'm only doing one copy, and then we're going to print. And we're going to cross our fingers and hope that it prints on the correct side. So now it should, fingers crossed. So it's taking it and it comes out. So the best thing to do to figure out what side your printer is printing on is the first time I print something, I'll write on one side like test, and then I know like I do like test and write like top left corner, and then I put it in that way and then flip it over and then print on that side, so then I know which direction my printer goes. But okay, so here's the back. I know you probably can't quite see through there. I don't know. Oh, it's a little off. I can tell. I don't know if you can tell. My print's off. It shifted. So what I'm going to do, because my print shifted, it's probably hard to tell. When I hold it up to the light, let's see if we can hold this up to the light together and see it. You might not be able to, but it's off a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reprint this. Okay. After much printing again and again and again and again, thinking it's just my printer that I need to sort out. But then I remembered, oh wait, the key to double-sided printing is getting everything centered on your sheet of paper so that your margins are the same all the way around. So let's do that. We are going to take both of these and group them together, and then we're going to center them to the page. We're going to come over here to our other page. We're going to group them together and then center it to the page. And now we will print these again, and this time all will be right with the world. So get my printer paper back in there. Did I mention that my printer is wireless? Which means that I can print on this printer without actually having to be next to my printer, which is really great when I have other computers in the house that I want a quick print from too. So as long as the printer's on and the paper's loaded in, I can print from anywhere, which is a new revelation for me. My other printer, I had to like physically plug it into the cord, so all computers had to come into this room to print. I tell you, this is like the best $40 investment. I've been waiting for these to go on sale so I could get a new printer, because my other one, I had a feed error that I cannot seem to fix. So it was time for an upgrade. Okay, this printed. Now I got it sorted out. Let me show you how this one goes. All I have to do, I have my registration mark here. All we're going to do is turn it around and stick it in here because it's going to feed and swirl around. The biggest thing I've learned is you have to really make sure it's pushed in there. And then we can come back to Silhouette Studio. We'll go to our other tab. Again, everything is centered here. That is where it needs to go. And then now I can print our second page. We'll just go ahead and print that. We'll let that print, and then this is the time it's gonna work. Okay, we have our double-sided print. Now, on the back here, this corner here is my top right, or top left, and then on this side it's here. So I just want you to know this double-sided print and cut business only works on symmetrical projects. So circles, rectangles, has to be symmetrical and everything centered. And then when you do it that way, you do not need your registration marks on both sides because you're only going to be cutting on one side. The key is to make sure that when you're cutting that, where was I going with that? Oh, the key is when you go to cut, once you've printed your page, you just don't want to make any more changes in the program and the software after you've printed it, because that's how you end up getting cuts that are off. But if you are having issues with your print and cut and you would like some troubleshooting cheat sheets, check that description box below, because I have recently created a 4-page print and cut cheat sheet for you that walks you through what all of the things mean in this registration marks, how to mess with those. It talks about print bleed, and then lots of different ways to help you troubleshoot your print and cut so that you can get it right without having to go through like 5 or 6 pages of the same thing like I just did, thinking that it's your printer when it's really just you didn't set things up right. Okay, let's get these cut out, shall we? So let's get things loaded up on the machine here. I'm using my electrostatic mat. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. And then because I have my registration marks on both sides of the page, but this is the fun part because what we're going to do is the back side has a break in the lines and the front side is solid. So this is what I'm going to use as my front side, which is the solids. For the electrostatic mat, where the edge of the kind of electricity grid is where your page needs to go. If you put it all the way to the edge, because that's how I usually do load my sheets on here, but it like cuts in a little bit, it won't actually read your, it won't be able to read your registration marks. So you do need to give it that little bit of extra room there because your cut area on there is a little bit different. Oh, let's, hello, are you on? Let me you gotta turn the whole thing on too. Clearly, we're doing a little struggle bus today. Please excuse my struggle. All right, we're gonna load that in. And then let's go back to Silhouette Studio. Here we go. We are cutting this one here, the solid lines. And we're cutting on the electrostatic mat, so I need to make sure I have my Cameo 5. My cut mat is the electrostatic mat, but my media size is letter. And so you can see my cut border is there, and then I don't know. Everything looks good. But you can see how this is like over a little bit. So that's why you got to scooch that page in. Okay, so now we can come over to send. This is heavy cardstock. It's going to take a minute to reconnect. So the only downfall I have found so far with having another wireless thing in my craft room is that sometimes I have issues. It takes a little bit longer for my cutting machine to find the computer. I think, I have my phone. My phone is on Wi-Fi. My watch is on Bluetooth. My Cameo is Bluetooth. My Cameo 4 is Bluetooth. And then now so is my printer. So there's like a lot of Bluetooth things roaming around in the universe here. Not to mention like my microphone to my camera is also Bluetooth. So it seems like it's taking a smidge bit longer for the machine to kind of get connected and sorted out, but it is totally, totally worth it. Okay, back here. We want to go cut by line color, and we are only going to cut that red line. That's why I went through and made sure that there was no cut line on that white piece that we have, to make sure that we're only going to cut out the outline of our recipe cards. Okay, we've got that all set up. I need a blade depth of 4. My auto blade is definitely getting a little worn out here. I've been using it for about a year. So here we go. It's reading those registration marks. But because my blade's getting worn out, yes, I have made sure there's no debris in it, and I've done all the things, but I mean, I cut just about every day. So it's probably time for me to think about getting a new blade. So things to watch for if you think you need a new blade. Are you constantly upping your blade depth and your force on things that used to cut at a lower force? Then that is a good indication that your blade is dull and it's probably time for a new one. Okay, so there goes. Those cut lines look like they are perfectly in the correct spot. We'll go ahead and cut that second one. And just like that, we have made our own recipe cards just in time for the holidays. How neat is that? I am so excited. We are doing a potluck for Thanksgiving because my holiday to work. So I'll be bringing these with me in case there's any awesome recipes for me to be getting from other people. I'm going to check that. That looks great. I know these cut settings work. I'm not overly worried. So I don't always check, but you should. Okay, come on off of there. Okie dokie. So here we go. We have our lovely recipe cards. Cuts a little bit off on the back. So even with the registration marks, I am still slightly miscalibrated. You know what? I don't think I calibrated my printer when I started, so that's probably bad on me. But here is the front. Here is the back. We have these beautiful lines on there to put all of our ingredients. We have all of our space on the front to do our goodness, to write all of the recipes. Wow, okay. So there you go. Just in time for the holidays, get some recipe cards written. You could also sit here and type out the actual recipe on these if you wanted, to make sure that these are ready to rock and roll to just hand out to people. So give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, including all of my goofy screw ups. And remember, if you want those print and cut cheat sheets, I will leave a link for that below. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and I will see you next time.